Hi, Scott here from SEAT-CUPRA-NET. We are here with a brand new facelift CUPRA Formentor. This is the new model for 2025. As you can see immediately, if you've seen the previous model, the front is vastly different. And this is a new shark nose design that's being applied across the range, Cupra's range, including the CUPRA Leon. And I'll touch on that a little bit later in this review, because I've just bought one and it's interesting to compare these two back to back. And this car, this particular model here, is the VZ3. It's the top spec model, and it costs £55,475. Now the colour is called Century Bronze Matte. This is an option that costs you, wait for it, £2,055. That's a lot of money for paint. Now some of you love matte paint, some of you who maybe are interested in it need to know that it comes with some maintenance issues, and that's worth researching. But I think the colour does look really striking. It's certainly been turning heads on the road. Now this is where the biggest design changes have happened. We've got the new shark nose design. You can see how it gets its name. It's got this kind of snout like a shark. CUPRA badge is now moved up here, isn't stuck down here anymore. It's on the front of the car at the top. You've got this much more open grille here, open mouth design, and you can see here the new signature triangle headlight design in the car. These are matrix headlights. The triangles are across all the new CUPRA range, including the back lights, and we'll show you the back of the car a little bit later. But the front, I think, looks really mean, really aggressive. Some people on our forum have said it looks a bit generic, like kind of Chinese cars. I like it. I think it looks really good. So if we just take a closer look at the wheel here, this is a 19-inch wheel. What stands out for you the most? These huge calipers. These are Akebono brakes, branded with CUPRA obviously in copper, and they are massive. You can see we've got drill discs as well. This is what you get when you pay for the top spec model. The lower down models you get Brembo brakes that aren't quite as big, but it does stop really well, and I think those calipers just look amazing. I love the wheel design, the two-tone with the copper and the black. This is a matte black, so hopefully we'll be less prone to scratching as if it was gloss black. So the big visual changes really at the front and the side are the wheels and the shark nose design. Now one of the coolest features of the car, and you have to turn this on, this isn't on by default, is as you get closer to the car, notice the lights are coming on. I haven't pressed any buttons. It's actually detecting the key. Obviously it's become within radio distance, and the lights turn on. I know it's gimmicky, but I just think it's really cool. I'm really disappointed though my Leon doesn't have this option, even though it's a VZ3 as well. It's a real shame. But yeah, just a little gimmick, but I think it's really cool. So the big change to the rear is the CUPRA logo is no longer a badge. It's actually illuminated as part of the light strip. It's gone off. Let me get that back on again for you. This is what CUPRA call the coast-to-coast light that goes right across. So you've got the illuminated logo, you've got the three triangle design carried over from the front, still on the back of the car, and it's kind of got this 3D effect. I think they look really smart. And if you again look in closer here, the same as all CUPRA models now, you see the model name in the lights. You won't see the model name anywhere else on the car. It's just shown in the light itself. Other than that, the back of the car hasn't changed. You've still got the quad exhaust, you've got the CUPRA lettering, you've got the VZ badge that stands for something in Spanish that means fast. I can't remember. I'll put that in the notes. But yeah, VZ, if you see a VZ badge, that denotes the top spec, faster models of the range. But I think the new changes to the lights, again, just make that car feel more modern, feel different. You don't see cars on the road these days with the rear badge illuminated. At least I haven't yet, other than obviously this car. One of the features of the car comes with keyless entry, as a lot of cars do these days. You just put your finger on it, it detects the keys in range, and the car opens. Just before I get in, we'll take a quick look. They've improved the quality. The quality of the CUPRA Formentor was already good, but the interior, they've improved the quality and materials and fit and finish even more. So it's very rare to find any hard plastic. There's a bit there, even that's a bit squidgy, but there's soft touch materials in most places. And what you get with the new facelift is the option for the Sennheiser speaker system that comes with the VZ3, and the speakers sound great. There's 10 speakers and a subwoofer as well. We take a look down, we've got the illuminated door sill and very inviting seats, which we will have a look at now. Those are probably my favorite part of the car. I know I say this in every single review that has these seats in. They're so comfortable and they look really smart. one of the things I was hoping would be on this car, that if you've watched the review I did of the CUPRA VZ, was it has a clever feature that it detects when you, well, it doesn't detect, when you open the door, the seat moves into position to make it easy for you to get in. When you shut the door, the seat then moves back into your correct driving position. Because it's got these bucket seats, that made it a bit easier. Unfortunately, I've looked through all the menus on this car and on my Leon, and that option is not there. It seems to be just for the CUPRA Born, so you lucky CUPRA Born owners. Now, steering wheel is the same as before. Luckily, we haven't gone backwards and got haptic buttons. We've got physical buttons. I'll just take you through some of the steering wheel controls. You've got your volume here for your infotainment system. You've got your controls here for the cruise control, and this has adaptive cruise. You've got your CUPRA button here for drive modes, and I'll touch on those in a second. Notice that the surrounds now on the steering wheel are gloss black. Previously, they were in copper color. On the right hand side, you've got your start and stop button. You've got your controls here for the virtual dash, which I'll take you through in a second. Heated steering wheel control here, and this controls the options again on the virtual dash. Oh, and you've got the speech button. So if you're using, well, you can use the in-car speech, which I don't think is particularly great. I haven't really tried it much. I use Android Auto, but it also can activate your Android Auto or your Apple Siri if you're using that. Got your virtual dash. You've got a number of views here. You've got the one that I use most, which is the one we just were on. Some subtle changes. Again, you can change what's displayed in the middle bit here. This is showing the radar, and if you've got cars in front of you on the adaptive cruise. And if I flick through again, sorry, press the right button would help. View. You can make it simple as you want. Or here, if you want to be really sporty, have a big rev counter in the middle with your speed shown in numbers there. So yeah, a few options there on that. I tend to leave it on this one, which looks quite daunting. There's quite a lot going on, but you get used to it. So we take a look at the infotainment screen. The interface has been improved. It's a bit simpler to use. Before I get on to that, worthy of note is the sliders here are now illuminated. Even though they looked illuminated on the previous one, come darkness, you couldn't actually see a thing on these sliders. I don't know how on earth that got through testing. It's been talked about in numerous reviews. It's not just CUPRA, it was on the VW cars as well that share the platform. I think it's blame VW because they would have given CUPRA this unit to play with. Anyway, it's now illuminated, which is good news. I'll just show you some of the options here. You've got this drop-down slider, which gives you quick access to some options here. One of them being turning off the speed warning, turning off the lane assist, turning off Bluetooth, etc. And you've got your usual controls here where you can easily swipe through. I do find it nice and responsive and simple enough to use once you've had a bit of a play with it. Just show you there's some options on the seats here that I found interesting. You've got your controls here for your heated seats, which is nice to see in the bucket seats, but it has learning, so you can actually, it can learn how a driver likes to have their seats warm, turning them off, different settings. I haven't had the car long enough to see that in action, but yeah, it will learn how you prefer your bum warmed, which I thought was quite interesting. If we go back here, I'm just going to show you some of the drive profile options. We've got comfort, performance, CUPRA, individual, off-road and drift. Now these are new on the Formentor VZ, certainly drift mode, because you've got the torque vectoring at the back. You also get that on the CUPRA Leon Estate, but not on the hatchback and not on the front wheel drive. CUPRA mode is, as you would expect, everything turned up to max. Individual mode, if I go into the settings, I can just show you here some of the different choices. You've got your dynamic chassis controls, you've got a slider for that, steering, engine sound, air conditioning, your torque splitter, you can actually change that to comfort, performance and CUPRA. So you've got a few options there around how you want to drive the car. Personally, I drive in CUPRA mode most of the time, although this imposer sound, the fake engine sound, is a bit too loud, and I'll show you that when we go out for a drive, which we're going to do next. So on the road, the first thing you probably want to know is it fast? So the pre-facelift version of this, the standard horsepower was 310. It's now been upped to 333. The torque as standard was 400, and now it's been upped to 420. Does it feel much faster? Possibly. I haven't driven one previous facelift for a while. Is it fast enough? Absolutely. It is fast enough. Yes, you've got the four-wheel drive, you've got the new torque vectoring, which probably adds some weight to the back of the car, but it's plenty fast for everybody, really. Obviously, I have driven and we have reviewed the ABT edition, which has 370-ish, I can't remember the exact figure, I have to check that review. That felt fast, probably faster, but when you get to this kind of level, without driving them literally back to back, it's hard to honestly tell you I can feel, remember that much of a difference. Needless to say, the extra power increase is welcomed. The car goes like stink with the four-wheel drive. Obviously, you've got that launch off the line that you don't have with front-wheel drive cars. Yeah, power-wise, it's perfect. It's spot on. You could push more power, obviously, through it, as Cupra have done, and some people may choose to do that. When the car starts up, it starts in comfort mode, so the engine noise is muted, or the fake engine sound is muted. Suspension is softer, steering wheel is softer, everything's a bit softer, and for day-to-day driving it's fine. But you obviously have the different drive modes. I tend to juggle when I've got a car with dynamic chassis control and these kind of settings. I tend to spend most of the time in Cupra mode, because fundamentally you don't buy cars like this to just poodle around. You obviously have the comfort modes for long cruises on the motorway, which I do tend to do as well myself. I'll switch it into that if I'm on a long drive. Most of the time I will put it into Cupra mode, which I will do for you in a second. Before I do though, I want you to listen out for I'll say the engine sound, it's not the real engine sound, it's the fake engine sound. Because my one complaint on this car, having driven my new Leon, did I mention I've got a new Leon? Sorry, I probably have a few times in this review. I'm sure it's called the Symposer, the fake engine sound that gets pumped into the cabin. For some reason on this car, on the Formentor, it's significantly louder in Cupra mode than it is on my Leon. I don't know why. I would have thought they would have been set the same, but for some reason Cupra have chosen to set the volume much higher on the Formentor. Right, we're in Cupra mode now. The revs have risen, and I'm going to stop talking and let you hear the Symposer sound. Now, what I've struggled to get on this car is pops and bangs. I haven't heard any yet. Okay, so that's accelerating in Cupra mode. Let's switch it to individual mode, where I've turned the Symposer down to pure. There is a bit of a difference. I don't know if you'll pick that up on the microphone. Obviously the engine's revving quite high. Everything else is essentially set to Cupra apart from the engine sound, which I've set to pure. Now, one thing that has changed that I've noticed, and I haven't found any reference to it in the manual on my car, it's the same with the Leon and the same with the Formentor. Previously on the pre-facelift, and in generations before it on the Mark III Leon, when you put the car into Cupra mode, the gearbox changed into sport, so you'd get the S on the dash. Now for me, the gearing and the revs were a bit too high for that. It was just a bit too leery, so I would quite often have to put it into Cupra mode, then put it into drive mode. Now this time around, you don't get the drive mode. When you put it into Cupra mode, you get S plus, and the revs are immediately higher. I don't know if you heard that. If I switch back now, you don't go into drive mode, you go back to S mode. Oh, the revs are holding, but it jumped the rev. There we go, it's dropped back now. So if I press it again, you're switching between this S mode and S plus mode, no longer between S and drive mode, which I thought was quite interesting. So here we go, we're in S mode. Revs have jumped right up just by switching. I haven't put anything else on the accelerator, any more pressure on the accelerator. S plus is clearly full-on Larry mode because it is revving really highly. I think by doing this, they've actually got the balance better, because for me, the previous generation, drive mode was a bit too soft for being in Cupra mode, and sport mode was a bit too full on. I kind of felt I always wanted something in between, and I would find myself manually changing gears more than I felt I should. So I think Cupra must have discovered that themselves, taken on that feedback. So we've got this new S mode and S Plus mode, which is one of the big differences, well, the only real differences in terms of the gearing for me. So I think it works. Now in terms of comfort and driving position, bucket seats. Did I mention I love the seats? Yes, I know I always mention I love the seats because these seats are amazing. They are the best seats I've ever sat in a car. And as you'd expect, they are really hugging, really supportive. I think one of the reviewers said they felt the seats were a bit high. I think the seating position is fine for me. I could go lower if I wanted to go into rude boy mode. I'm not going to. I tend to prefer to have better visibility than look like someone much younger than I am, trying to look cool. Oh, these brakes are good. Did I mention the huge brakes? Yeah, the car really stops well when you want it to. There's just no hesitation at all. In terms of economy, I haven't done a back-to-back test again. It's the same engine, it's got a bit more power. You're likely to put your foot down a little bit more because of that extra power. That extra power will no doubt put a little bit more toll on the engine. I haven't got the figures to hand in terms of the fuel economy, but they will be in the written review that accompanies this video, and we'll do a comparison of whether they are, if the economy is the same as the pre-facelift. I'd imagine there's probably not much in it. Maybe a little bit worse because you've got the extra gear at the back for the torque trickery, and obviously you've got some extra power, so that's probably going to take a hit on the economy, I'd imagine, but probably not much at all. So we're on the motorway now, and we are still in comfort mode. So as I mentioned, if we put it into CUPRA mode, I just think it gets a little bit too drony. So we're going to go to CUPRA mode now, and I'm going to overtake a vehicle in front of me. We're in CUPRA mode. I'm going to leave it in the plus mode. It sounds cool, but do you want that on a motorway journey every time you overtake somebody? I really didn't go that fast when I overtook either. That's me just tapping the accelerator. I just think they've overdone it. I think it needs to be turned down quite a few notches. That would just do my head in, I think. I don't know how well you're picking that up on the microphone. So that's in plus. Let's see if it makes any difference if we go to S. Nope, it's the same. If anything, a slightly lower tone, but the rest of the car, driving wise, is as you would expect from the Formentor. Nothing has drastically changed. Extra power, as I've said. Fancy trickery. I haven't gone on to a track, unfortunately, to try the cover drift mode. I'm sure that would be fun, but day to day, do you need it? Probably not. Still has great road presence, still turns heads, although there are a lot of them around, obviously. Not yet with the facelift. I think it's a matter of time before we see loads of these on the road as well. So overall impressions of the new Formentor, as CUPRA want us to call it, but it is a facelift midlife. New visual design, I love it. I think it looks really good, really striking. The last Formentor was a looker, but I think they've just turned it up a notch with the new shark nose design and the lights. The triangle lighting just looks brilliant in my book. We've got more power, so no one's ever going to complain about having more power. The car is still just as drivable. It still goes like stink. You've got the four-wheel drive for launch. Power-wise, brilliant. Interior upgrades, yeah, you've got improved interior quality. Again, as I said, I didn't think the quality was bad on the previous one. Still wish they'd put some soft fabric in the door bins. CUPRA, come on, you can do it. Skoda can do it, why can't you? I keep saying Skoda can do it. Someone let me know in the comments if Skoda have stopped doing it, because it's been a while since I've actually seen a Skoda, so I could be doing CUPRA disservice here. Sennheiser sound system, really, really good. Sounds brilliant. Best speaker system I've heard in any car. Really good, worth the option, worth the money for the VZ3 if you want the extra kit that this car has got. Seats. Oh, yawn, he keeps going on about the seats. I know I do. The seats are ace. Yeah, it's a great package. I have no complaints other than the Symposer sound being a bit too loud. That's the only fault I can find with the car. This colour I think is really nice, but matte paint comes with conditions that you have to be aware of, and definitely do your research if you are thinking of buying a matte paint car. Cupra are offering, I think it's 3 different shades of matte paint with the new facelift cars. But yeah, car is amazing. Let's do a quick brake test. Oh, those brakes are so good. So there you have it, the new facelift CUPRA Formentor for 2025. Lots of new changes on the styling at the front and the back, some new paint options, some new wheel designs, big brakes, torque vectoring at the back, lots of toys to play with. A lot of money though, but there are some deals to be had. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up please, and be sure to subscribe. And if you aren't already on our website, SEAT-CUPRA.NET, we are the biggest Cupra and SEAT community. Be sure to join our members there and discuss all things Cupra and SEAT related. Until next time, thanks for watching. Until next time, thanks for watching. Right, we're done. I'm done.
Are you sure?